Just like mine, but it stopped working and I don't know why.
What?
Right? 10,000 batteries. It like comes on. Get different batteries and it's just
I always regret
it's making me crazy. Buy some different batteries maybe. Your front. All right. Hey, darling, smile. God bless you. Good mom.
I don't want that when I went. But I went to they it's just like when you get boys out. I didn't get to that. I had to. I Then I went to Forest County. That was really one of the nursing homes. So that was because they were all right there. And I hated when they don't want to be.
You know, at their age. But I'm listening. I'm seeing a lot of signs in our neighborhood. Yeah, I am. Every day I see a few people.
Were you active before you moved here?
We're all somebody else's neighbor.
We were active in our church.
Before that, we owned a bed and breakfast.
About Joanne back in but I don't know if I
Oh, you've been doing it?
Well, where I live, there's a little party. And I began to read books about doing it. And I read it because we were here a week ago coming back.
Just a tad bit more.
It's a, you do it right, it's a 24/7 job.
We had no social life for like for 6 years. Can't hire people to. And you'll bring one.
Yeah.
You're not making any money on it. Rent it if you can.
How's that?
I really don't want to do it.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm gonna make sure it doesn't rain. A little bit. How's that? Better? Okay. All right, good morning, everybody. We're glad you could join us on this beautiful Saturday morning. This will be the last meeting of this nature before the election. Whoa, what a long 2 years it's been. We're halfway there to the next presidential election. Come back here 2 years from now, and we're gonna feel even more tired and afraid than we are today. At any rate, we're glad you could make it today. There's just so much to do, we can't shake a stick at it at all. So, Lisa, would you like to do the honors today with the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Let's be honest. Have we been working too hard or what? It's been a long 2 years. That's okay. When we can still laugh at ourselves, there is hope. All right, let's bow our heads in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come before you one more time, meeting with our friends and neighbors in an act of fellowship, and as we are doing it, perform stewardship toward this wonderful nation, the nation that, unique among all others, was born with recognition of you as our Creator and the source of not only our life, but all of our liberties and our rights. We thank you for this opportunity to repay your grace by preserving this nation and trying to extend it for another generation or more. Amen. All right, can I see a hand of the people that are here for the first time? Everybody's been here before? Uh-oh. we're not doing our job. We should be having more new people here. There's a couple new ones back there. Oh, maybe they're just shy. Well, we're glad you could join us. We always like to have new people come on board. We are a conservative grassroots organization. And one of the things we do is try to identify fellow conservatives. This is the harvest. Everywhere you go now, you will see yard signs. People wear candidates' shirts, bumper stickers, etc. We should all be making notes of everybody in our neighborhood that shows signs of being a conservative and get them to come to these meetings. Or you can go down the next street, make a note of people, and make sure to invite them to a future meeting. Try to get them involved because, like I say, we're only halfway through this. We got a presidential election or two over here. We want them in here too. Okay, once we identify potential conservatives, we try to get them interested. We bring them in here, get them on our website, help them get informed, get involved in political campaigns or other civic activities. And then finally, we try to enable them with the resources they need to have an impact as an active citizen, not a passive citizen. Boy, we found a lot of passive citizens in our on our phone banking line. It is incredulous to me, but in our calls to Lorain County, 40% of the people are still undecided. Oh, less than 2 weeks before the election, 40% still undecided. And we've asked them, is it because of the negative ads, the attack ads? Most of them haven't woke up yet. They haven't begun to look. They said they'll look at the newspaper the day before the election or the morning of the election and make a decision. Oh. I think that the Cleveland Plain Dealer referred to them as voters without information. An interesting way of saying uninformed, lackadaisical voters. Anyway, hopefully, over the next generation, we will imbue in our youngsters the realization that it is a responsibility to take part in the civic activities. Not only to vote, but to become an informed voter. Anyway, I'm digressing. We provide, since everybody's here, I'll just mention Big Tent. We're all pretty much independent. We do our own thing. We're self-reliant. All views are welcome as long as they're so. Elected officials, who all do we have here? We have Nancy Evans. Oh, Gary Warner, Sharon Ray, right? For the rest of the year, right?
Yes.
And then you are rejoining Freedom, right?
I would be anonymous, just like I want to be.
I just want to know what you're going to do next. You don't strike me as the kind of person that goes sit under a maple tree.
Yeah, I'm doing some volunteer work down at the Rockford Municipal Court now, and I'll tell you why. I'm so passionate. When we have young people that get in trouble for the first time, it's a real turning point in their life. They're either going to go one way or the other. If we can convince them to improve themselves, either by getting their GED, getting some advanced education, our chances of seeing them again go down. If they don't, most likely you as taxpayers will be paying for them off and on for the rest of their lives. Whether it be through incarceration, whether it be through public subsidies, whether it be through, personal choices they make that really are just not going to be good for them, not going to be good for us. And I have a real passion for that, so that's what I'm going to do with it.
Good for you, Sharon. You know, what's interesting is that we conservatives are frequently characterized as not having a heart. And yet, here's Sharon doing that. Lisa's, where'd she go? Has been a volunteer with the Battered Women's Shelter for many, many years. Many of our members have actually helped train the Medina County Developmental Disability Organization in how to win this next election so they can get their budget replaced on the levy. And we don't really look for credit, but it's amazing to me that all the liberals like to paint us as being hard-hearted and stingy, and yet we do this freely with our own time. Let me just mention also, we've got some other candidates in the room. Adam Friedrich, would you, I think everybody knows you, but this is what it looks like in yes, you may have the microphone. Okay, we're at the point on the schedule now where we are going to do our constitutional homework assignment. As you may remember, Nancy Abbott left us with the presentations on the 10th Amendment Constitution, and she left us with a homework assignment.
Uh-oh, that's right, uh-oh. Yeah, you remember those days in school when you didn't study, huh? But that's okay, I had some people that came to me and volunteered, so if you didn't come to me, I think you're off the hook. But if after the presentation from those people that did volunteer, if you have something else or another part of the Constitution that you want to talk about, please let me know, because I'll have you out. Before we start, a couple things I want to say. I want to thank all of you, again, like Jim said, all of you have been involved in campaigns this year, all of you that worked for levies this year, all of you that have just been darn active these past 2 years to get the word out to everybody, so thank you, all of you. The next thing, I have to tell you a little story. I'm not good at jokes, but sometimes I have nice stories. I have been working with a young man on the Casey Taylor campaign, and he emails me probably every other night with questions and answers and things I'm supposed to be doing. And I received a one-word message yesterday. Opened up my phone, and the word was there, problem. This is not a time to be having problems in somebody's campaign. So and I'm not good with my thumbs, but I type back, okay, email doesn't tell me everything. Is there really a problem? Do I have to worry? About 5 months later, I get something back that says, I'm an idiot. He said, it's that time of year, I'm an idiot. So the fact is, you know, when we do some unusual things about this time of the year, when you're actively involved in a campaign, you've run out of adrenaline, you're not sleepy, you have a cold, you do sometimes act like an idiot. So if you're having those moments during these last 2 weeks, realize you are not alone. Okay, we finished reviewing the Constitution 2 weeks ago, and I gave you a final review. I asked for some of you to come up with descriptive words and talk about a part of the Constitution, either a line, a phrase, an amendment, something in that Constitution that means something to you, and give it a descriptive word. Didn't have to talk for a long time, a minute or two. And I'll give you an example. Oh, by the way, for those poor souls that are coming up, since it might have been a while since they've been in high school, don't ask questions, just agree with everything they say and tell them to agree. Thank you. There are several parts of the Constitution, well, the whole Constitution is really important, but there are several parts that like stick out in my mind. And I'm just going to bring up one and I'm going to give you the word scary. And that is interstate commerce, which we've mentioned several times, which is Article 1, Section 8. If you look up interstate and you look up the word commerce in the dictionary, you can come to a pretty general conclusion of what you think it should be. Over the years, as we talked about different court cases, interstate commerce has morphed into something that just about anything can be tied to interstate commerce, as is the part of Obamacare that you must purchase health insurance. They're using, as one of the arguments, interstate commerce. Of course, it's also going to be used on those that are trying to pop it out, is that what does it have to do with interstate commerce? But interstate commerce is being used for a whole pile of things that you would not have a clue. Started out just for railroads, just to get stuff across, to regulate railroads as they went between the states. Now it's just about anything that has to do with your life. So as each one of these precedents is set in the Ohio Supreme Court, the definition of interstate commerce becomes more scary. So that is my little 1-minute blurb on something in the Constitution that I keep my eye on, and the word I describe it is scary. Now, a couple other people have volunteered to get up and talk about parts of the amendment. The first one that's volunteered is Homer Smith. You remember that, Homer?
Just to set the record straight, I didn't volunteer. Second thing I need to know is where's the teleprompter? Nancy and I, her husband and I shoot together some, so.
You want this
Can
one?
you hear me? That's the teleprompter. Got it right here in my hand. I'm like Sarah Palin, got it on the palm of my hand. Nancy called and asked if I would say a couple words, and I volunteered. And she wanted to know what about, and I said, how about the Second Amendment? I have a firm belief that the reason we can gather like we are here today and express our opinion about things, which is guaranteed in the First Amendment, but that is safeguarded by the Second Amendment. Our forefathers gathered and founded the Constitution for this country, and the second thing they talked about was the right to have a militia. And we have people in government now that would like to say, well, that militia means an organized Army, Navy, Marines, but there are people tend to forget that the militia back then was made up of ordinary citizens that owned guns. If it hadn't been for that, we would still be under a monarchy type of government that existed in England. So the Second Amendment is what has brought us many of the freedoms that we have nowadays. It allows us to hunt, enjoy the shooting sports. It allows us to collect guns if we want to. I know of a gentleman in this county whose name will not be mentioned. He doesn't shoot, he doesn't hunt, but he has over 300 pistols. He collects. We could not have the country and the freedoms we have now had it not been for our ancestry back at that time owning guns and being willing to pick up arms and take on the tyrants from England. I hope we never have to go to the revolution again as we did then. But we all should remember that it's nice that we can be prepared to if we have to. And when you vote, you should think about who is it that's trying to take the Second Amendment away from us and why. Remember, guns have only two enemies: rust, politicians. I'm going to ad-lib a little bit now and say that when you go to vote, there are some offices that two people are running for. One of them is pro-Second Amendment. The other one tried to close down our community-owned and operated gun shows when he was in another elected position. Thank you.
Thank you, Homer. Homer, you can't let us be hanging here. Bill Lamb, while he was mayor of Medina, so here's a little political announcement here. Bill Lamb, while he was mayor of Medina, tried to close down the gun shows up at the fairgrounds. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you should have chose both the Interstate Commerce Commission and the Second Amendment to talk about today. If anybody here is a lexicologist, I'd like to talk to them sometime. There is one word in both amendments that I believe has been twisted by the progressive, liberal, socialist movement, and that word is regulate. It comes from the word regulate, which means to keep flowing. The Interstate Commerce Commission, the law for it, was put up because states refused to permit the flow of traffic. And I believe regulating interstate commerce did not mean to control, stifle, prevent, or dictate. It meant to keep it flowing. and a well-regulated militia, if you understand, back in 1776, the word militia was a derogatory term. You have to understand, the men who founded this country were not the ultimate land gentry from England. They were the bottom of the barrel who decided to create a government for themselves. And the only word we would have that would compare to the word militia in 1776 today would be vigilantes. They honestly believed that if somebody in Philadelphia, at that time Philadelphia was home, decided to take your rights away, that you should go with your friends and neighbors and do something about it. And there was quite a discussion in Congress when they were forming the Bill of Rights as to whether the right to bear arms should be first and speech second, or vice versa, because they felt, like he said, you can't have the other 9 amendments unless you have the right to bear arms. And the problem was that most of the guys who were doing this were former printers who had their printing presses destroyed and everything else. And so they said, no, we want freedom of speech. So I think we need to do some study on the history of the word regulator. Because at that time, a British regular was a soldier who was outfitted. If you went into the army, you had to bring your own musket, your own cooking equipment, your own first aid, your own